This is Radio Now 95.3 FM. Come for the news, stay for informed conversations.
Welcome. It's News Extra here on Radio Now 95.3 FM Lagos. I'm Nabila Usman with my co-host Stephen E. Mediogu. And on News Extra today, Senegal goes to the polls this weekend in an election that will have the attention of all of Africa and the world. President Macky Sall had initially postponed the elections for 10 months, which were scheduled to have held in February this year. This caused uproar and protests in the country's capital, Dakar. The move was reversed by the country's constitutional court. The coming elections will take place this Sunday, March the 24th. Joining us to discuss expectations for the poll is Senegalese broadcast journalist Amadou Bari, who works with Senegalese outfit eMedia. Good morning and welcome, Mr. Barry.
Good morning and good morning, everyone.
It's a pleasure to have you on. And let's talk about how things are right now, the anticipation for Sunday's poll.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much. So the latest update here is that two candidates, renounced their candidacy in favor of Bassirou Diomaye Faye. That's the main opposition party that's, led by Ousmane Sonko. But the Constitutional Council rejected the withdrawal yesterday. It means that their ballot papers will be, at polling stations on Sunday. So they stood in case, Bassirou Diomaye Faye or Ousmane Sonko candidacy were disqualified. So their withdrawal sparked controversy and debate. Why now? And after all, ballots have been printed out and deployed in the in the field, which is very costly for the election body. So they are all calling to vote now for Diomaye Faye and the Sonko's party flag bearer to gain more votes. So about the atmosphere here in Dakar, the streets of Dakar, as you can imagine, are filled with billboards of candidates and other campaign gadgets visible here everywhere in the street. So over 7 million, are expected to choose a successor to Macky Sall and elect the country's fifth president. So the election body is reassuring that there will not logistic issue. The Minister of Interior said yesterday each voter will have to choose at least 5 ballots over the 18 or the 19 before casting in the box. So apart from nationwide here in the country, like the Senegalese in Senegal, Senegalese based in the diaspora can also vote at least in 50 countries in Africa, in Europe, America, and Asia. There are over 300,000 that were registered to be able to vote.
Mr. Barry, this particular elections has some 17 candidates vying to replace Mr. Macky Sall, but the more popular names that we have heard in the run-up to the elections include Ousmane Sonko, who is currently backing another candidate from his party, Mr. Faye. We've also seen candidates from Mr. Macky Sall's party. The Prime Amadou Ba is reported to be Mr. Macky Sall's preferred candidate.
Party,
Right. So now with these names that we are hearing, can you give us a sense of what the Senegalese people are saying regarding where they are looking at putting their votes this weekend?
Yes, as you said, this is unprecedented, and this 19 candidates is never happened here. But for this campaign, I can say that the campaign has been polarized between Amadou Ba, the candidate of the ruling party, and Bassirou Diomaye Faye from the strongest opposition party, as you stated. So Ousmane Sonko himself, when he was released, he conducted campaign for his deputy party leader Bassirou Diomaye Faye. So Amadou Ba here is perceived, by the opinion as the candidate of the system who will follow his predecessor steps, Macky Sall, but he is accused also of corruption and getting rich from statements. This week, Diomaye Faye from Sonko's side called him even to declare his assets for more transparency. So critics say he is a billionaire, as former, finance minister and director of tax and revenue. So, but for Diomaye Faye, 44, is perceived by critics as a non-experienced person who is not set for, to rule the country. He's not mature. That's the critics here. So he's not like Ousmane Sonko, who is very charismatic who is very, who speaks very well, in the public opinion. So there are three other front runners or maybe major candidates like Idrissa Seck. Idrissa Seck is a former prime minister and who is, is standing for the fourth time here after 2007, 2012, and 2019 when he came second even after following Macky Sall, with over 20% of voters. So there are also other candidates like Khalifa Sall, former mayor of Dakar, who is running for the first time after, he was incapacitated to contest the previous election 5 years back. So he was then locked up, accused of corruption. So these are, I can say, the main candidates, but there are others, only, like only one female candidate, that's Anta Babacar Ngom. There was another lady, but she was accused of dual citizenship. So, from that, she withdrew, from the race.
So, Mr. Barry, I understand that this was, I think, sometime earlier this week or so. President Sall said that, look, he does not carry the blame alone for postponing the elections, and he made no apologies. In fact, he pointed to parliamentarians who had raised concerns, and this was why he came to the decision. I wonder what sort of disruptions the political process has seen because of that decision.
Yes, indeed. It sparked another controversy here because Macky Sall was accused of, postponing election to allow him to overstay in power, and this, as you said, sparked violence and tension here, and even 4 people lost their lives, and there were a lot of, damages here. But Macky Sall made it very clear, as he reiterated, for several times, that he would not like to overstay in a single day in power, regardless election outcome. So if he steps down, the National Assembly Speaker may assure the transition to avoid vacuum of power. Following that interview, colleague, many have called him here to hand over power to his successor before leaving. But according to analysts and many experts, with the number of candidates here, there probably would be a second round, which means his term in power at least would be maybe extended for 2 weeks, because if there's a second round after the balloting of 24th, probably at least 15 days, and he should leave at on April 2nd. So we don't know now what he's going to do and what will decide. The Constitutional Council, because maybe some Senegalese and maybe experts would not like to have a vacuum of power here, or a powerless country. So that's
Mr.
another
Barry.
question. But
Mr. Barry,
can you hear me?
I can hear you, and I do apologize for interrupting you. Mr. Barry, what are your expectations for the elections this Sunday in terms of its conduct?
Logistically, there's no issue. Senegalese Senegal is used to elections. So.
Hello, Mr. Barry.
Unfortunately, it seems like our connection to Mr. Barry is not, we're not able to reconnect with him. Although you can look forward to News Extra on Monday, when we'll be touching base on how the elections were conducted Sunday and what expectations are for a final winner. That's News Extra here on Radio Now 95.3 FM Lagos. Stick around, the news review comes up next.
This is Radio Now 95.3 FM. Come for the news, stay for informed conversations.